What's up guys, my name is Tristan. I'm a game and level designer. I've been making games for a little over 3 years now, and I've just recently started working on this project I'm calling LightDrifters. Now, my goals for this project were to keep it simple and fun, document the whole progress, and have it released under a month. With that said, what is LightDrifters? LightDrifters is an endless racer type mobile game where the goal is to reach as far as you can on a procedurally generated racetrack full of dangers, challenges, and collectibles. With that, you toss in some unlockables and customization, and you end up with a pretty decent mobile game. Now, every good project has to start with a prototype, so let's jump right into Unity and let's get going. For now, my plan is to make a simple car controller that can only turn left or right based on the player's input. The way I see it, since this is an endless racer, there's no real need for the player to manage the acceleration. It could make for some interesting mechanics, I'm sure, but for this game, I'd like to focus solely on drifting and making it feel as good and as arcadey as possible. Besides, I think that the speed at which the car goes would be a great tool for me to manage the difficulty of the game later on. After some research, I found that thinking of the car as a rolling sphere rather than an actual vehicle would give it the smooth and drifty feeling I was looking for. So I went ahead and tried it out, and here's what I ended up with. Now, I know this is far from perfect, so I spent a little time playing around with the acceleration, the turning speed, and the gravity. I also added some obstacles to the scene, and let's just say it's already getting really fun to maneuver. For now, I think this is good enough. At this point, it's getting really important to test the controller in a proper environment. Since the game will most likely not be in a straight line, this is not an accurate test for the feel of the controller. So next on the list was the racetrack generator. Basically, the level generator picks a tile to instantiate based on 3 factors: the exit direction of the previous tile, its size, and in the future, the difficulty setting. Let's say my previous track goes from south to north. Then, I need a track that starts from south to spawn in next. Looking at the size of the previous tile, I can also align the next one correctly. After that, all I have to do is make a variety of cool tracks and add them to the proper lists. Now, at this point, I was getting a bug saying I was getting too far from the world origin, and things started to get really laggy. So I went to the Unity forums and shamelessly copy-pasted a piece of code that would basically reset the world origin when the player passed a certain threshold. And with that, the level generator was working really well. We could now basically go on forever on this somewhat procedurally generated track. But it still wasn't that interesting, so I jumped into Maya and modeled some basic tracks to replace the ones I currently had. At this point, the prototype was starting to come along pretty nicely. Testing the game in this environment really made a big difference. I could now start working on the feel of the controller while testing in an accurate setting. After playing around with it, I realized the controller felt really stiff. This is mostly because of the camera's behavior and the car's turning speed. So I made a basic smooth camera and played around with the settings in order to try and further sell the feeling that the player was drifting. Changing the camera made a huge difference on the way the controls felt, and for now, I'm really satisfied with the results. But there's still a problem that started happening when I introduced the most recent modifications to the car controller. You can see the car is doing some bouncing motions from time to time, and that's not what I wanted to do. I think this behavior is caused by the ball's friction to the ground, causing it to bounce after reaching a certain speed. I tried playing around with Unity's physics material, dropping the bounce value to 0 on both the tracks and the car controller, but that didn't fix the issue. So for now I decided to leave this problem for the future me and keep working on things that will help the game a lot at this point. So while the game field was getting closer and closer to what was intended, the game still felt really empty and the navigation seemed meaningless. At this point, I had multiple ideas to counteract that. I could start working on track variations with different challenges and obstacles like jumps, loops, or even moving objects to avoid. But I settled on giving the game a clear and immediate objective. In this case, collectibles. We see a lot of collectibles in endless runner or racer type games because it's a simple and satisfying objective that can serve for unlockable purposes later in the game. But they're also a great tool to create some interesting decision-making moments for the player. One example of that is, there's a really sharp turn coming up, but there are some collectibles right on the edge, making them hard to collect without falling. Do you risk falling and try to collect them, or do you play it safe and leave them be? So with that idea in mind, I jumped straight into Maya and modeled a simple coin-like collectible. I then added a very simple material and particle system to it in Unity. And there we have it. I now have a very basic but functional collectible in the game. The simple script I had for the coins made it very hard for the player to collect them, and that's not what I wanted. So I played around with it a little and made it so the player would act as a magnet for the nearby coins. And, well, let's just say I got tired of looking at the same simple blue shape I keep calling a vehicle.
So I decided it was about time to change things up a little. I jumped right into Maya, made a fast car model, added some particle system and simple animations for the wheels. I also added a start menu to the game and, well, see for yourself.
Well, that's it for this video. I'll post a new one as soon as I feel like I have enough progress to show, which should be in just about over a week. For the next devlog, I want to try out a new video format. Since this is my first one, I'm not sure yet how I want these videos to be. In any case, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.